Welcome back, citizens one and all. Welcome back to a little more Dinkum. Let's talk about going big with the farming, like making much larger fields. As you can see here, we're working with 3 sprinklers wide, which is what I prefer. So 3 sprinklers, they do they each do 5 wide, so that's 5, 10, and 15. So we're 15 wide here. So that's 5 passes with the tractor. I prefer to work in groups of 3. As you can see here, this is 15 and then 50 total. And over here, we have a very similar setup, but this is just a singular plot, and I've started doing this because this is a good working size, especially if I want to have multiples of crops. I think this is a 15 by 25, and I went on to reuse this system over here. But before we go any further, just things to keep in mind when you do these large fields. So this is 15 by 50, but you have to factor in the fencing on either side, because you have to fence it in. So when you're building this, you're counting to 52, and in this case we went fence on each side, so that's 32, but then we added 2 more here. Just have this runner in the middle to separate the fields in case we want to do different crops, and just a place to put the water towers without sacrificing crop space. So overall, this did sacrifice a little more space, but having that smooth split on a large field for a bad thing. So that would be 34 wide. So it's 34 wide, 52 long. So you always have to factor in that, and the best way to do it is to fence in your fields as you build them. So as you can see over here, again, very similar, but we split it into 6 distinct fields so we can run different crops in each 15 by 25 plot if we wanted to. And you can see here 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 sprinklers per 25 plot, 375 squares per, less the sprinklers puts it at 360 crops you're planting. So a little over 2,300 for this field. I believe that field's about 1440, something like that, because it's 60 sprinklers. Then again, just a smaller one over here. Same amount, 15 sprinklers, so that's 360. So, just a couple things to recap here on going large with your builds. You'll need fencing. You'll need some kind of barrier tile to put at the edge to make sure you're marking a boundary that makes sense to mark. And then you'll obviously need a pretty healthy amount of water towers, and these, they do 10 by 10. So technically 10 that way, 10 that way, 10 that way, 10 that way. So it winds up being a 20 by 20 spot total. So they go 10 out in each direction is what I mean when I say 10 by 10. So there's a little bit of overlap here, but it's 3, 6, 9, 12 towers here, and then it was 3, 6, 9 towers over here, just based on how we wound up spacing them in the long run. So because this is a very similar sized plot, we just added at last minute. I added this additional row here to just really bring the field together as much as I could. And then you can see we're also in the process of just running marble everywhere just for the sake of it. But overall, that's just a little bit of tips and tricks for what I did to do these large fields. You really need to take your time, be a little more meticulous than you normally would in your planning. Make sure it makes sense. But on that note, we'll call it there. If you have any questions at all about going much larger with your crop fields in Dinkum, just drop a comment. Y'all take care, enjoy, and I hope to see you in the next stream.